What's up, goblins? I'm Scully the Goblin, and welcome to a little talk video. Now, I am going to be continuing my little Let's Play of Mass Effect Andromeda, but I want to get this talk video out of the way. Okay, so, to start things off, this little, video is titled Mass Effect Andromeda 2, Let's Talk. Now, we all know Mass Effect is going to continue from that trailer where it says Mass Effect will continue. So in that trailer, you see basically the camera leaving Andromeda and heading back to the Milky Way. So that has me to believe, including several other people, that next Mass Effect game is going to be in the Milky Way. However, there's some people, including me, who think that they might actually reveal that they're trying to find a way to build relays, like mass relays, to be able to travel from the Milky Way to Andromeda and back. Now, if that's the case, I can see loads of potential for future games later on, but we're going to stick to what we're talking about here. That is Mass Effect Andromeda 2. Now, we all know Mass Effect Andromeda had its perks and defaults and faults, all that shit. And it basically, it was good, but it was also bad at the same time. There's some stuff I like about it, some stuff I didn't like about it, and we're gonna get into that stuff in this video as well. But anyways, let's just talk about Mass Effect Andromeda 2. So I'm gonna start with the story, how I think Mass Effect Andromeda 2 will begin, that sort of thing. Now, I think, and mind you, goblins, this is my personal opinion. This stuff is not canon. I have no insider information if they plan on doing this shit, that sort of thing. However, if somebody at hold on, fucking drink. But if somebody who's working on the next Mass Effect game sees this and decides to actually pitch this little idea for another Mass Effect Andromeda game, feel free. So, if you watch some of my other videos, you hear me talk about oh, I wish to be able to play as the other races, that sort of stuff. Well, that is true. I wish to see that, but I think in the next Mass Effect Andromeda game, there should be well, I don't know how to put this. I think there would be two stories that would play out. The first story is you continue your story as Ryder. Basically, you're on a path to try to figure out who created the Remnant, trying to unlock the Remnant secrets fully, being able to control Remnant machines, that sort of thing. Even discovering some new alien races besides the Ket. I imagine the Ket would actually make a return in the second game, and you basically are still fighting them. However, they're less of a threat now, and you encounter new threats, such as new alien races, or hell, even some new machine-eating AI races and that sort of thing.
Temperature levels are climbing, Pathfinder.
However, I imagine that game would be more of you, the player, trying to find a way to actually control the Remnant tech.
Lots of regret on the Nexus about you guys leaving. Most everyone realizes we're weaker without the Krogan backing us up.
Had to happen. We're done being pushed around.
Wasn't us doing the pushing. That was leadership's mistake.
And the rest of you paid for it the way it always could.
Temperature levels are climbing, Pathfinder.
Alright, now they're done talking. So I imagine the second story would be trying to figure out who made the Remnant, who made the... Oh, spoiler warning, if you are new to the Mass Effect series and you were watching my videos to actually find out stuff about Mass Effect Andromeda and that, well, this is a spoiler, so I suggest you leave and come back to a later time. Spoiler in 3, 2, 1, final warning. And the Remnant created the Angaran. The Angara. Or Garan? Yeah, goblins, get what I mean. Okay, so I imagine you'd be trying to figure out why they created them, how they created them, and basically what happened to them, where they go, that sort of thing. Me personally, I imagine that the Remnant left due to a war or something. And the Scourge to me seems like it's a minefield. It's like to me, the Scourge is a minefield. It's meant to stop, like, somebody from pursuing somebody. But I imagine in the next game, and this is just the first story, how I think it should turn out. I imagine the next game would take part, like, maybe a few months after the first game. And it'd basically be, like, a few months, the settlements are, like, fully grown, some of them are bigger, there's, like, more settlers around, that sort of shit happening. And I imagine there would be, like, new wildlife, new, like, well, I guess new settlements around, like, the planet and that. However, I do think that in the next game they should make it so, like, if they do go down the path where you're playing as Ryder still,
Ambient temperature is normal.
I think the next game should be
Temperature levels are climbing, Pathfinder.
like, how do I put this? I think the next game, like, if they do go down the path and make it so you're still playing as Ryder after, like, say a few months.
How come you like me? We Turians haven't exactly treated Krogan very well.
You aren't like
Wait
most
till they're done
Turians,
talking, I
veteran.
can't shut them up.
You know what it's like to hurt a little.
I haven't taken half the shots you have. Still have all my limbs.
Give it time.
Alright, they're not talking. So if they did decide to go down the path where you're still playing as Ryder, it's like a couple months have passed, you're still trying to figure out the Remnant, trying to find a way to control the robots, try to use their ships fully, and even try to make, like, more of the technology to be able to terraform planets. I imagine you would basically, the main story would be trying to find out who the Remnant, like, truly are, like, who were they, where did they go, that sort of thing. I do imagine the Ket would be, like, kind of a big threat, but also a small threat at the same time. I imagine there would be, like, new enemies, like a new big bad guy who's, like, hunting the Ket, hunting the Remnant, and even now hunting you. Oh, I haven't came up with a name for that race or who they are, but
Heat levels increasing.
just, like, picture somebody who the Ket
Gotta be
and
okay.
Remnant and
Every
Imgar
time
would
you say
fear.
that, I believe you less.
Doesn't
However-
make it less true.
Pathfinder, this area can be mined for resources.
Alright,
You can extract
down
minerals
this way.
via your mining interface.
I think that at the end of Mass Effect Andromeda, and spoiler warning, if you are new to the series and you're just watching me play it for the first time, and just, I guess, leave for a moment. Final warning? Alright, so at the end of the game, you learn about the Quarian arc, how they brought, like, some of the other races. Not, like, all of them, but some of the other ones. And they were under attack by something. Now, I could imagine, like, I guess, two different scenarios. Well, three different scenarios. One, they're being attacked by the Ket. Two, they're getting attacked by Geth that actually snuck aboard. Now, you might be wondering, and Scully, why do you think the Geth are, like, aboard the Quarian Ark? Well, the thing is, I imagine that the Geth would have found information about, the Andromeda Initiative. Now, in the first trilogy, there's these heretic Geth who sided with the Reapers. It's not hard to imagine that there would be a group that believes that they could possibly, like, go on this initiative and, like, see different life, like, see how it grows, learn about it more. Only to end up being discovered on the Quarian Ark when they finally woke up. And mind you, these Quarians aren't the same Quarians in the third game or in the second game where some of them are actually one in peace with the Geth and that. These are Quarians who basically hate the Geth and don't have anything that would boost their immune systems. Now, I imagine in
Remember
the
that last
third
push
possibility
before the
would be...
Arks left? All that activity for a guess about a galaxy.
I got hit by a power loader. Driver was on 3 calls about where to store rations. Punched it right in the gyros.
Damn. So, I imagine the third, like, thing that could be, like, happening to the Quarian Ark is basically either the return of the Remnant or the beings who basically drove the Remnant off. Now, I imagine after, like, a couple months in the game, like, a couple months would be, like, when the game takes place, let's say 4 or 3 months. So you basically have like a mission to go and save like the Quarian Ark, save the Quarian Pathfinder, or have them replaced, that sort of thing. Now I imagine you'd be able to go to your old colonies, including like other places, as all your choices would be like imported into the next game and basically affected everything. And I imagine you basically be like saving the Quarians in like the first part of the game, and you basically learn about, I guess you learn about like some new remnant tech, like a new like, I guess a ship or something. Let's say it's a ship. It's like this massive remnant ship. It's like that planet ball thing. I don't remember what it was called. Oh, well, but let's say it's like a mobile like factory. It produces like the terraformers. It produces like more ships. It's basically like a, I guess it's like a single, I guess you can call it a fleet builder. Or let's say like the goal of the game for like the second half is to try to get access to that ship, where you then like find like, let's say you find some remnant species, like the people who made like the remnant bots and that are in like cryopods or that, and you basically find them, but you also find like some aliens they created. Now I imagine the game could actually give you a choice. Like I imagine there would be like a difficult choice. Choice number 1, you decide to actually like thaw the remnant, but I imagine there would be like what's the word I'm going for? Like, I guess, okay, I'm gonna give you goblins 2 different scenarios. I imagine if they did go that way, they would make it so you could only choose like one race to thaw out. And the other ones would be thawed out later on, or some of them would actually die, like their life support is like failing or that. I imagine you would have the choice to free like remnant species, allow them to regrow their empire, that sort of thing, or it could be one of the new races that they actually made. Mind you, for my first playthrough, I would probably pick one of the new races and then like pick the remnant for a second playthrough. But that is just like the first scenario I see like taking place for the main story for the next game. The second scenario is actually kind of a favorite idea of mine.
The Milky Way, Vedra?
Understanding how shit works. Back home I knew the politics, the people, the places. Here everything's new. You can't play the system when you don't know what it is.
I don't know about that. The way the Nexus treated us Krogan seems like the system came with us.
And they're done talking. So the next scenario is, well, a bit different. Now, there are some people I know who did not like playing as Ryder. I kind of like playing as them, but I also didn't at the same time. So I guess I'm in between that group and the group that did. So this brings me to the next story. The next story is similar to the other thing, and however, it's more personal when it comes to the character. I imagine in the character like have like a preset name, kind of like how Ryder has like their last name as Ryder or that. I imagine it would be part of this thing. Mind you, this next thing might be kind of leaning on the line of me like having that little like thing where I want to play as the other races.
Are within acceptable limits.
I want there to be like a story where, how do I put this? I think the next story would be like, this is the other like thing. I imagine like they could go down another possible route where they make it so like the Quarian Ark was found, and it was skipped over, because they could have actually made that into a DLC. I gotta say that for that they really fucked up when they didn't turn it into a DLC and they just abandoned the game altogether. They could have redeemed it. But I imagine like if they decided to make a second one, they could either go with that first option or they can go with this one. And basically, this little idea is you're the last person being brought out of stasis on the Nexus or one of the Arks, and you're basically being selected for a colony you can go to. Now, well, this next thing would take you to basically character creation. However, I imagine there would be something different. You could actually pick your race. Now, I imagine you could pick probably maybe 4 or 5 different but I'm going to stick with like 4 of them right now. The first choice is human. The second choice would be Turian, third choice would be Quarian, and the fourth choice would be Solarian. And now, I imagine that there will be some people out there wondering, why do you think they'll make it so you can play as a different race? Well, I imagine like it could be like a story where you're basically finding your path in this new galaxy. Yeah, I imagine you could customize your backstory. I imagine you could actually make it so basically you have like this preset name and people will call you by it. Like you would have a preset name for like a guy or girl, and if you change like the first name, they would call you by your last name, kind of like how my character is called Ryder, or if I kept it as like, was it Scott? Yeah, I think it was, they would actually call you Scott in the game. Now, this idea is basically a little like out there, but I imagine that it would start off with like the character waking up, basically answering questions and that sort of stuff. Now, I imagine you could have like a pre-selected backstory depending on like the race or that. Like you could either have like a custom backstory or go with a pre-selected one. I imagine like some people's custom backstories would actually affect how their character acts or talks in that. However, here's something I actually think they should also add. If they do go into like a deep customizable backstory for the second thing, I imagine they would also have to go into like who did you bring with you on the Andromeda Initiative, what did you bring with you. Like, let's say that you decided to make it so your character was married. Let's say that you decided to bring, like, your kids with you, or your wife, or, hell, even your girlfriend. Actually, fuck, I just realized I fucked up there when I said the married thing. Or, that would actually start you off in, like, a relationship right away when you wake up. Meaning that you wouldn't be able to, like, I guess, romance anybody in the next game? Maybe if you actually went with that path. Me personally, I'd probably make it so I brought a family member with me, or like some friends, and so, or maybe a dog. But I imagine you basically picking your backstories. You can make it so you have like criminal background, or maybe you were a mechanic and 7, and or hell, maybe even a former Spectre. But I imagine the next game you basically be trying to find your own path. You basically go down your own road. You could basically play as like either the bad guy, a good guy, or somebody in between. Basically Renegade or Paragon type shit. And I imagine Impulse would also be in the game as well. Well, like, I imagine they could actually add in the Paragon and Renegade. Like, let's say you're about to do a good thing and you could actually go with like Paragon, or if you're about to do a really bad thing, it'd be like Renegade. But let's say you do something in between, you basically have the Impulse choice. It's like, let's say you stuck to like being neutral, you basically lose the Paragon and Renegade and it would go to Impulse. Now I should probably get back to the damn story. I imagine the story for this would start when you make your character. Or basically you wake up, you're selecting like a planet that you want to live on, and only for the Nexus they get attacked. Now I imagine it could be the Ket, it could be basically like the Remnant returning, it could even be like a new race entirely. Or it could be like a group that is dedicated to trying to, I guess, take over like this new galaxy, that sort of shit. Now I imagine you, the player, would basically be trying to figure out like, I guess, different, what's the word I'm looking for, like different paths you want to go down. You could basically stick to your roots, you could become like a hero, you could become like somebody else. I imagine you would have the option to actually join like the Nexus, that sort of thing. However, I think in the next game there would still be like choices to be able to like build like settlements for that. Like let's say you go to a settlement, you decide to actually buy some like materials or that, you basically buy like a plot of land, you could actually set up like a farm or that. Or let's say you go to a planet that was like discovered but didn't have like a outpost set on it yet. Let's say that you decided to steal it from underneath the initiative nose. You can basically choose what the planet is like. You could choose it to be like a haven for criminals, a haven for people who don't want to live underneath the Nexus or like any other faction, or you could actually turn it into like your own faction. Now I imagine there would be like pre-selected names. I imagine you can prioritize like different things, like make it so it's like a outpost where they actually make weapons, weapons, or like a scientific outpost, or hell, even people who actually have like a mix of everything.
Look, it's easy. You just pull the hinge back and snap the upgrade straight on the barrel.
Doesn't seem secure.
It's secure. I promise.
Back in my day, upgrades were handmade. Custom fitted. None of this off the rack snap together shit.
Don't say uphill both ways. Don't say it.
Turians didn't used to be so damn lippy either.
Huh. Now, I get it, that little story thing there did not make a lot of sense, and I basically talked about some of the features in that, but I still think that could actually be added in. I think they could actually do it right, especially if they had like some of the original creators of Mass Effect on like the project and that. However, I do think the next Andromeda game should stay open world. That's all I'm going to say. I do like the open world feel of the game, but I do miss some of the old like Mass Effect feels for the like original trilogy. However, you do get that in certain like loyalty missions and that. But what else am I looking for? To say, I do think like some of the features should like be like you could actually like have a pet, or even be able to use unique abilities, or even like create your own. Well, by like combining certain abilities that you could unlock. Kind of like the skills. Like, let me give you Goblin's an example. Let's go with tech. Let's say that you have like a turret that you can throw out. Let's say you combined it with this right here. I forget what this is called. No, it's right there. Let's say you have like this type of power. Let's say you combine the turret with this. Basically, I imagine, and the turret would then start like shooting like, I guess, what's it called? Let's call them liquid nitrogen darts. When it hits somebody, it'll start freezing them, basically. Same with like fire and other stuff. However, I imagine there will be like more like choices when it comes to like ending conversations or starting conversations, that sort of thing in the game. Another thing I would like to see in the next story between like either you're playing as Ryder or playing as like your own character that feels like more personal, that sort of thing, is basically more like worlds, more like Remnant thing. Hell, I would actually like to see like a mission where you can actually find out a way to like control Remnant, and I would like that mission to actually impact like the main game. Like, let's say that, let's go back to like the first story I pitched to you, Goblins. Let's say Ryder found like a way to actually control like Remnant, what they called it? Observers? Or, no, yeah, I think they're observers. The ones that fly and have like the tentacle legs. Let's say he found a way to actually control them. Now, let's say that he managed to reprogram them and made it so they actually like could farm, like plow fields and that sort of thing. Let's say that you actually found a way for that. However, you would have a choice to make it so like the Remnant either were farmer used or were used for like the Nexus like militia. Basically, you have a choice to actually use the Remnant to actually help farm, or basically be used as weapons. Now, mind you, this would not be for all Remnants. I imagine it would be for like certain Remnants. However, I also think they should make like new Remnant types that you can actually encounter, including like new like hostile types and animal types. Now, all the animals you meet in this game want to try to kill you, for sometimes no reason. I would like to actually see some animals that are actually harmless, and won't attack you. Hell, I would even like to see some animals you can actually decide to like turn into like farm animals or even pets, that sort of thing. Actually, I think you can do that for one certain mission, I can't remember. But basically, I think there should be like different like animals, different like enemy types, different like everything. I would like to see like the ability to choose what a outpost would look like, or colony, whatever you want to call it. But I do like the idea of being able to make your own character in that. if they did go down the path and made it so you can make your own character in that, and they decided to make it so you could actually like claim an outpost in that from underneath the initiative's like nose,
Critical temperatures detected.
or
Seek
even like set
safety
up like your
immediately.
own like nation. Like on EOS, we ran into like a group called, what were they called, Advent or something. And you had like the choice to either take water and make it so that they couldn't like sustain
Life
themselves,
support is stable.
or you could actually help them get like some natural gas, which they would then
Environment check.
sell for water.
Temperatures are within acceptable parameters.
Now, I would actually like to see that little nation appear in the next game if you like helped them out. If you didn't, I would like to see like apparently they fell apart and some of them actually joined like the outposts, that sort of thing. However, or here's what I'm thinking. If they did make it so like you could actually be a new race, well, not a new race, like when the races in like the next game, and then you actually took over outposts, I imagine you could actually decide to side with the initiative, and they'd basically take control of it. I imagine the more you side with like one faction or yourself, you basically gain reputation from the other factions, or actually negative reputation. Like, let's say you stole some initiative worlds out from underneath the initiative, and you basically made it so they could not have an outpost or a colony on the planet. I imagine eventually, if you do that enough times, you would not be allowed on the Nexus. Knowing that some initiative, like, the people would actually hate you, and some would just shoot on sight at you. Same for other factions, but I imagine if you did cut out the initiative, like, some people would actually like you, like some other factions are that. But that's pretty much it for that whole idea. However, I do think you would have like the choice to make like a farming community, scientific, and basically everything in between. Now, as for like outpost areas, I imagine if you did decide to actually steal like an outpost, like let's say you took like, let's say there's 5 spots you can actually put outposts. Let's say like, alright, let's use this place as an example. Let's say there's an area right around here. It's like flat, has like good cover, has good shade and that on like a desert planet. And let's say there's another one that has like only a bit of cover but has like a lot of water and barely any trees. Now,
Sam,
I imagine...
has it gotten even hotter?
Heat index is climbing rapidly. Your body won't stand this for long. I suggest you retreat to a cooler area.
I imagine basically there would be like 6 places you can actually pick. I imagine you would only be able to like take 3 of them. Now the reason I imagine that is because, well, one, you wouldn't be able to take all of them unless you kicked like the other people off the colony or made them join you. Or become allied with them. I also imagine basically, let's say that you pick the water area, you lose access to like the other area. However, due to the fact you have control of the water area, let's say like the Nexus ended up like picking the other area. They would be trying to actually, I guess, diplomatically, I think I said that right, be try to negotiate on a deal to get water or try to get you to join them. Same for like other factions in that. Some would probably attack you right away though. But that is pretty much my idea for the other like story they could go with. But I do imagine if they did go with like Ryder's story, he would still be sided with the Nexus, he would still be like trying to find out the remnant tech, that sort of shit. But I do hope they do make another Mass Effect Andromeda game one day. I just hope they do it right, and I just hope they like try to actually make DLCs for it, because I do like DLCs for games. I like playing games that have like extended stories, that sort of thing. In my opinion, they missed an opportunity not making a DLC about the Korean arc, or about what was attacking them, or anything like that. Hell, here's something I am actually hoping in Goblins, and yeah, Goblins might be wondering what. And I'm hoping that if they did make a Mass Effect Andromeda 2 game, like if they are planning on making one after this new Mass Effect game, I hope they go back to the original Mass Effect game and make a damn DLC for it involving the Korean arc. Now you might be wondering, Scully, why would they do that after you just mentioned they could make it so, like, Ryder saved them, like, after, like, after like the first part of the game or that. Well, I imagine they could actually like change that then. Like make it so like he saved them in like the DLC, he learned like more stuff, and then they could go with like that second idea for the second game. Or go with like something else. But think about it. If they were announced that they were making a second game, and the next Mass Effect game, the Mass Effect Will Continue game, was like a big success, and it's being made by the same people who actually made that, and they could also decide to make a DLC for that game first. They could use the stuff that they had put together. They could even probably make some other DLCs that add in like smaller missions than that. And then they would like stop and focus on the other game fully. I imagine it would bring more people back to Mass Effect Andromeda and even add like some new fans in that or that. But saying that out loud, it makes me think that I'm stupid sometimes, but I do think that's kind of a good idea. Basically have people buy like an old game to be able to play the DLC. The money could then go towards the next game, but that's pretty much it for what I think they could actually do for another Mass Effect Andromeda game. I do like some stuff for like Mass Effect Andromeda. I like the Remnant bots, I like the Yarn, but in all honesty, I hate the fact they only have 2 alien races you come in contact with. Like, they could have added like different like races and that, and don't get me started on the wildlife. If the wildlife in the game is lacking, I think they should add like, I guess I'm not done. I think they should add like, make it so like certain wildlife's only found on certain planets, unless you basically had them move to that planet or like some smugglers took them to that planet. Same with like some certain enemies. I imagine certain factions would not want to leave like a planet, while others would. Like, let's say like one faction got kicked off the planet, they would end up going to another planet, causing like some chaos for that planet. Or basically join up with like a faction on that planet. But I do hope they fix like stuff that in the next game, like make it so there's more alien races to like discover, or some of them are aggressive right off the bat, some of them aren't. But I do imagine they would actually put like a lot of, I guess, their heart and soul in the next one. That's all I'm hoping. And I hope the story is good, and I hope they don't like focus mostly on the humor of the game. Because in this game you have like a lot of humor, which is good but bad at the same time. And there is a word as, well, there is such thing as too much humor. But yeah, goblins, that's pretty much it for what I thought. Let me know down in the comments down below. Oh, I don't know why I bother asking this part though. Oh, I ask you goblins a lot of times, what do you think would actually have fixed like this game, or what they should put into Mass Effect Andromeda 2 or the next Mass Effect game? But I'm going to ask you goblins this question, and I hope you goblins do answer it down in the comments. If they were to make a Mass Effect Andromeda 2 game, and they made it so you could actually pick one of the races to play as, like one of the Milky Way species, which one would you play as first? If you watched my videos enough, you would already know that I would pick Quarian, then Turian, and then probably Krogan, then Human, then the other ones. But that is just me. Let me know who you would pick. If they did actually decide to actually make the next Mass Effect game, make it so you can play as the other races, then I'm gonna be happy as hell. But if they decide to make it so it's like humans again, but has a really great story, I'll still be happy as hell. Oh, I really like this franchise. But anyways, goblins, that's pretty much it. The next Let's Play part is going to be coming out in a little bit, so there's that. Remember to like and subscribe, tell your buddies about this video. Oh, I was kind of I think I was actually less shit on this video than my other video I made, talking about, like, speculation and that. But yeah, goblins. And again, let me know, like, what race you would pick, what was your backstory, that sort of shit. And me, I'd probably be like a smuggler or a thief, or hell, maybe an ex-soldier or something. Or a bartender. Everybody likes bartenders. But anyways, goblins, to my fellow goblins out there, may your pockets be full of gold, may your looting be plentiful, and may you always have a village or a kingdom nearby that you can loot and plunder to your heart's content. But without further ado, I'm Scully the Goblin. This was my little Let's Talk video. Oh, peace out, and goodbye.